Ang pera ko, hindi basta mauubos. Pero ang pasensya ko, konting-konti na lang. Pagod ka na ba sa kasasaway sa klase mo? Naubos na bang pasensya mo at lahat-lahat? Pwes, para sa'yo ang video na ito. Tips to make children obey consistently. Needless to say, teaching is one of the hardest jobs ever concepted. This is by far the most demanding of all professions. And the one thing we want as educators is to get our learners to follow what we say all the time. But how do we do that? Narito ang 4 na tips to make children comply to you ng mas mabisa. Number 1. Do what you say. People can be divided into 3. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who always wonder what happened. And as educators, of course, we want to be the ones who make things happen. I lost count of the number of times I actually said to my pupils that I will let rowdy pupils to stay in class after dismissal pero wala naman akong ginawa after. Yung mga pagkakataon na I instructed na magkakaroon ng punishment ang mga bata that will be caught cheating but never did anything. Isa ka rin ba sa mga teachers na nagsabi ng isa ka na lang ha, isa na lang, but nothing happened? This is one of those concerns I had to combat with when I began teaching. Yung mga pagkakataon na gusto mong tumiris ng bata but you can't. That's so frustrating. But, however, when we begin to take our words seriously, a number of things happen. Students trust us, we can avoid unwanted behavior, and we get to like ourselves better for what we do. Once you take notice of what you say, children take notice of what you say too. Ibig sabihin, if you don't believe in what you say, they would not as well. So it's just a matter of commitment. The likelihood of you lacking sense of commitment to what you say is generally high if you don't do what you say. So how do you become a person of your word? Or how do we become teachers of our word? Simple lang. Be clear with your instructions and stick to them. So the next time na sinabi mong maiiwan ang lahat ng hindi nakatapos ng pagsusulat, ipaiwan mo. At kung sasabihin mong papaluin ang lalabas, paluin mo. Hindi pala pwedeng paluin, sorry. Anyway, children are actually good observers. Kapag na-sense nila that you are not serious with whatever you say, chances are, they would barely believe in you. Example, hindi pa natapos ng pagsusulat ng isang bata, and here comes his sundo. So what do? Do you let him out, or you let him stay until he finishes his work? You choose. Of course, the better choice is the latter. Number 2, express your anger. It is actually natural to feel angry from time to time. But unfortunately, naturuan tayo that getting angry is not nice. Do you remember yung pagkakataon na nakakita ka ng nanay na umiiyak ang bata sa mall just because the child cannot get what he wants? And actually, parents and teachers are embarrassed whenever they're confronted with this type of situation. What do you do when a child screams or yells? Madalas napapagalitan natin ng mga bata whenever their behavior gets too disruptive. Of course, tao lang tayo. We also reach our boiling point. So how do you express anger? You have to let children understand that you may be nasty and unfair with the words that come out from your mouth, but you are acting in everyone's interest. Para sa kanila din ang ginagawa natin. And remember, we do not teach discipline. We discipline to teach. So, mas mabisang paraan at mas child-friendly kung sasabihin mo, galit ako dahil dito, dahil ginawa mo to, kaysa sa bantay ng kakakaroon ng ganyan kagaling, napay ko na yun sa imuha nga, naglagot na yung ganyan sa mga kita ka unya ba, bantay ka ha, bantay na ka, wala pa ka nang magsulat, na sige na, kagyaw-yaw dira. Na lang ha, isa na lang. Tip number 3, establish the rules. If classroom management is a game, then let children know the rules. Often, children see us nasty or unreasonable whenever we discipline them. At kapag ginawa natin to sa mga pagkakataong ito, our immediate relation suffers. If you want not to upset the immediate relation, assert yourself by establishing the rules. Example, Ken ay naatasang maglagay ng basura o magtapon ng basura sa labas every single day. However, Ken often does not do his job. So what do you do? Do you smack Ken? Do you send him to the corner for 5 minutes? Pahayain, pagalitan, sigawan, paluin? Uy, ginawa mo na yan. Anyway, and if you plan to do any of those that were mentioned, siguraduhin na lang na walang CCTV ang school ninyo para walang ebidensya si Tulad. So, what better way to discipline the child by telling him up front? I suggest you tell them up front. So, the solution is usually to tell the learner ahead of time what you want, what happens if they do it, and what happens if they don't. Surely you can determine that this has something to do with conditioning. Remember operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner? Yes, teach. Ito yung ginagawa natin every time confronted with this type of situation. The theory suggests reward-punishment activity. A good behavior is likely to be repeated once rewarded, whereas a not-so-good behavior is likely to be not repeated once punished or reinforced. Number 4. Compliments. We have to compliment our children. Liar are those who tell people they do not need any compliment. Of course, whether we deny it or not, we need a little appreciation every single day. Complimenting people at least makes them blush or at most makes them feel appreciated. And children do that every time sa atin. Kahit alam natin sa mga sarili natin, di naman talaga tayo kagandahan o kagapuhan. But, it makes us feel on cloud 9 pag sinasabihan tayong, Sir, gwapo lagi ka karon, sir. Gwapo lagi ka, ma'am. Bash! Char. Do you remember when there was a time that you were so down, you were so fed up with clerical works and everything that's related to teaching? And then suddenly, a student comes to you and say, Ma'am, gwapa lagi ka, ma'am. Di ba makagisi og baba? Anyway, you probably know the conclusion I am trying to draw here. So, di ba, that's the power of compliments. It makes us high. It makes us feel as though we are loved, no? Regardless of relation. At alam natin sa sarili natin na it really does work. It works. Para sa bata, para sa matatanda, or anyone, regardless. At saka, ang pagkakaalam ko, magagaling ang mga preschool teachers sa compliments, sa pagbibigay ng compliment. I can still remember my colleague. I went inside her classroom, and she was actually in the middle of checking artworks. She actually complimented the child. Pinakita ng bata yung artwork. She asked the child what animal did she draw. And the child actually presented the artwork and said, Ma'am, it's a dog. And she said, Wow, ang galing, ang ganda ng dog. It's very cute. And I said, Yeds, parang mali. Ibon na ata ang nakita ko. So the next time somebody needs a compliment, do not bother to give them one. Because it does work. And in case nobody told you this, teach. You are one beautiful soul and you're worth it. And please return the favor on the comment box. So that's it. I hope I got the message across and sana may natutunan kayo, may nakuha kayong konti that you might want to consider. I go by the name Subb, you go scribe. Subscribe.